Greetings, YouTubians, and welcome back to Wayne Sharp World, where today we're going to be taking a look at a custom. You don't see a lot of customs on this channel, but as you guys know, a couple weeks ago, my good friend Dilo sent me in a package of customs containing 3, said, hey, take a look at these, I think you'll enjoy them, and I did. The unboxing went pretty well, and I really did want to do a full review of each knife. So today, we're going to start that little mini-series, and I'm not going to spit these customs out to you guys day after day after day, because I know customs aren't exactly everybody's thing, so what I'm going to do is just upload one a week. So for the next 3 weeks, you're going to see a custom on the channel. I think it's a good thing to at least kind of take in and know the differences between a custom and a production folder, because I got to be honest, guys, I was starting to think some of these high-end production models, part of me was thinking, man, how much better can a custom be? And I got to tell you, these customs are considerably worlds better. Now today we're going to be taking a look at the Marais Vector. Now before I go any further into this review, I'd like to thank you guys for tuning in today. If you like what you see, please do me a huge favor, hit that subscribe button, follow along, and I will continue to bring you the content. As you guys have also probably noticed, I'm just going to say this right now, you're only seeing one hand. You're only going to see one hand because if you're not following me on Instagram, you probably don't know this, but I crashed on my skis over the weekend and I had a partial separation of my AC joint. It hurt like a MFer, and yeah, my left arm is in a sling right now, and I cannot move that very well. So luckily, these knives are very smooth and very easy to show off to you guys and operate with one hand, so no issue there. The show must go on. I already brought some episodes to you guys with half a voice. Why not do it with one arm, right? Okay, now let's get into it. Let's take a look at some overall specs on this knife right here. We have an overall length of 7.65 inches with a blade length coming in at 3.25 inches, a blade width at 1.08 inches, and a blade thickness of 130 thousandths. Blade material on this guy is M390 with a very beautiful, very attractive, I think it's a drop point style blade. Some people may consider this a clip point, but I think it's a drop point. Let me know, what do you think? Is this a clip point or a drop point? I always thought clip points were a little more towards the front of the blade where it was clipped, but I guess that's maybe up for debate. Nonetheless, we have a full flat grind, a handle length coming in at 4.4 inches, and a handle thickness at 535 thousandths, with a handle width of 1.03 inches, some very nice hand-finished and rubbed carbon fiber with a liner lock locking mechanism, and a user of a right-hand-only tip-up carry, a weight on a 7.65-inch knife coming in at 2.2 ounces. Incredibly light. That's one of the differences you will notice in these custom knives. As you already know, the designer and maker is Marais. We will talk a little more about him as we begin our discussion of this knife, and a price. So now, I don't think this is the new price. This is the price that Dilo paid, and is kind of the going price for this knife. We're looking at $1,200 for this knife. Now, again, I don't know if that's secondary or if that's brand new. I'm assuming that's secondary. But nonetheless, $1,200 is the price I have. If you know more than me, feel free to drop it in the comments below, and I would be very much interested to hear that. Now, let's take a look at some size comparisons here and see just what we got. I love the size of this knife. For these customs, I'm just going to take a couple that I think everybody know. The Benchmade Bug Out, as well as the Spyderco Paramilitary 2, and that should definitely put everything into a very good size for everyone out there that's watching this video. So as you can see, very close to the Bug Out. Actually, just a little longer, maybe a quarter inch at the most longer, and a little shorter than the Paramilitary 2, which is kind of expected due to that big handle. So there's your sizing comparisons. And now let's take a look at this blade. There's a lot of little things that stick out in a custom blade that don't go noticed until you get the knife in hand. Obviously, you see the beautiful hand rub satin, which is just always fantastic to see. There is something about a hand rub satin that makes a blade that much more elegant. It makes it look that much more personal. It's completely different from the machine grind. I definitely prefer it. and just a gorgeous overall drop point blade with an edge reading of 12 thousandths. Another thing that you will come to find, look at that. It is just, I mean, it's stupid thin, guys, and an absolute laser beam through paper. It's hard to even get it to focus on camera to show you how thin it is. But yes, 12 thousandths behind the edge. We have a very, very nice, only one, but a very nice thumb stud. There's a lot of texturing on that thumb stud, and I'm willing to bet this may be a zirconium thumb stud. Kind of has that zirconium color, and I would think for a custom it could very well be that. I'm not 100% sure on that, but nonetheless, very, very nice thumb stud placed in just the perfect spot. And if you guys haven't noticed, when I did the unboxing of this, I kept saying it looks like a Jason Guthrie design, but I didn't think it was with that M on there. That didn't make sense. Bradley Marais is actually an apprentice of Jason Guthrie. So as you can see here, we'll be talking about this Guthrie next week. But do you see some, I can't hold them up next to each other with only one arm. But as you can see, there is some resemblances here between this Vector and this Jason Guthrie Scout in terms of handle profile. These are very different in hand. I have to specify that. They may look a little similar in the handle, but they feel incredibly different. Now, Jason Guthrie is definitely the more renowned maker here. As I said, you know, Bradley Marais is the apprentice of Jason Guthrie. So Jason was the teacher in this, between these two makers. And as you can see, there are some similarities, but there's also a lot of differences. And I have to say, overall, I do slightly prefer this Scout, but in terms of ergos, this Vector is a little more impressive to me. The ergos are absolutely fantastic on this guy. The standoff on this pocket clip, I can't believe I don't feel it more than I thought I would. It's nice and flat on the back there. The screws are not hot spots. The way it sits in your hand is very, very comfortable. Now, the jimping on the spine is, in my opinion, pretty much just aesthetic. I don't see any real function out of this. I don't get much grip. But that just kind of is what it is. That's, you know, it's one of the quirks of a custom-made knife is the designer has the free range to do whatever he wants, and he put this jimping on there. So it does look nice, but extremely, extremely minimal in terms of actual function and getting a grip from it. But the rest of this handle is just fantastic. The finish on this carbon fiber is just, I mean, it's as good as any finish on carbon fiber I've ever seen. No flaws. You can tell the polishing and the finish on this is really first class. It really is just done extremely well. And if you notice here, there's only one piece of, I'm assuming this is probably not, I mean, I think this does kind of look like titanium. I think this is maybe titanium. But the liner, there's only one liner, and that's on the liner lock side. What that does is take a significant amount of weight out of the knife. It's another one of the things that knocked this knife down to 2.2 ounces, which just makes it incredible. You hold this in hand and it just feels like it should be heavier, but it just feels incredibly light in hand and just oh so smooth with no hot spots. And that blade kind of reminds me of a Sabenza, but that full flat grind really does elevate it. A very nice tip, very slicey edge at 12 thousandths, combined with this handle. It definitely does present a custom feel. This is not something you would feel on a production knife out of all the knives I've handled. And that's the same to be said for these next two knives you'll see over the next couple weeks. There's just a different feel with these guys. Now, the action is incredibly smooth. And keep in mind, it's very important to note on this guy, it's on Teflon washers. Let me try and get in there somewhere. This is probably going to be the best spot to see it. There you can kind of see them. But those are, take my word for it, Teflon washers. Now the Jason Guthrie Scout is also on Teflon washers, and we will touch on that when we discuss that knife. But the level of smoothness, now the Guthrie is a little smoother than this. It's actually a lot smoother than this, but this is still stupid smooth for Teflon washers. it just falls into place, and kicking this blade out it has kind of like a hollow thwack sound. Listen for it, you'll probably hear it. Just a little bit of a hollowish sound on that thwack, but boy, it feels good. It is stupid smooth on the way out, and just a couple little shakes closes the knife for you. Very good lockup with that liner lock on the one side. This is definitely a very unique piece crafted by an extremely talented artist. Really, really enjoy taking a look at this one. Whether or not I would be a buyer at $1,200, I'm not sure. I really appreciate the craft and talent that goes into a handmade knife, and I think most of you guys can too. The question is, you know, financially, are we just there to afford it? And that's obviously for each person to decide on their own. But I will say there is a noticeable difference, and there's a different level of appreciation that goes into a custom that you don't quite have in a production. Now, I'm not saying go out and buy one. I'm just simply saying they are different, and they're worth at least handling. You know, go to knife shows. If your friend has one, something somewhere, try to get your hands on one, because it helps put things in perspective on why they cost as much as they do and why they're appreciated by the owners who do buy them and the enthusiasts and collectors that collect them. They definitely bring a whole new element of attention to detail and craft into making a knife that really does open your eyes, and it really is worth checking out. So guys, this here is the Bradley Marais Vector. I hope you enjoyed this one. Let me know what you think. I look forward to bringing you the next two. I hope you have a great rest of your day, and until the next one, I'm out.